In the past week alone, the Turkish Lira has been appreciated, or strengthened rather, by about 10%. The number one reason is definitely the resignation of the finance minister.
You're saying the markets are happy to see the back of him. Is that what you're saying?
That's more complicated, but if you want to dumb it down, you can say that. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Straight Talk. In this episode, we're in Istanbul with Cameron Diggin. And today, we'll be talking about something rather interesting. You know, to be able to reflect the true picture of what is happening in the country right now in terms of, the Turkish currency, where does the interest rates are going, and what does it mean for the exchange rate, and therefore, what does it all mean to the end user of the Turkish Lira, which are our investors, our clients. Yeah?
And the real estate investors, really.
Sure.
You know, how should they take the Turkish Lira into account? Because at the end of the day, Turkish Lira is certainly not a hard currency.
True.
It's, I guess, the opposite of hard currency is a soft currency, is it?
I don't know the technical word
I
for
don't
that.
know. Could you say a soft currency or? Well, if it's not
It's
hard,
a currency
it's soft.
of a one proud nation, I'd put it.
It's a currency of a one proud nation, which just like the temperament
Which is
of
very
the nation,
fragile.
it fluctuates
Fragile.
all the time.
Let's not say soft, let's say fragile.
Well, actually, the question is,
Yeah.
do you even have to rationalize these fluctuations, or do you live with it? And Turkish Lira will go up, will go down. It's a little bit like a yo-yo.
Yeah.
So do we live with it and almost disregard it,
Yeah.
or do we try to make sense of it and take action when it's down or when it's up or when it's about to go up, when it's about to
That's
go down?
generally
How do we
what
deal with
forex
that?
traders do.
The history shows us that
Yeah.
Turkish Lira is highly unlikely to stabilize, or will it? Let's see.
Okay, let's see. I mean,
Yeah.
you're an investor, and I really, really want to get your opinions on
Okay.
investing because you've been investing into, especially in the Istanbul market, you've been here for the past 10 years. So you've seen it all. You've seen it up, you've seen it down, you've seen it stable, you've seen the crises, you've seen everything.
Yeah.
But now, today, we're rather here for a for some of the recent developments in the Turkish Lira. Okay? So in the past week alone, the Turkish Lira has been appreciated, or strengthened rather, by about 10%.
I think about a week ago,
Yeah.
it went up to almost $1
Yeah.
to 850 Turkish Lira.
Uh-huh.
And then today it's what? 760?
It's effectively three reasons.
Okay.
The number one reason is definitely the resignation of the finance minister.
Okay.
The reason number two is
So you're saying
appointment.
the markets are happy to
Yeah.
see the back of him. Is that what you're saying?
That's more complicated, but if you want to dumb it down, you can say that.
Well,
Yeah.
what else can you say? I mean, the finance minister resigns and he gets replaced, and Turkish Lira jumps up by 10%. So what other interpretation can you draw out of
Well,
this?
he had a different monetary policy, which, in my opinion, is not understood by many, and especially by the common man. And this rapid drop that we're experiencing, and I have, talked about those three reasons, but the biggest reason there was actually what Erdogan said, and his promises. What are those promises? Let's take a look at. Well, let's take a look at what he said. He basically says that I urge domestic and international investors to trust our country and start new investments. Now, this might sound like a very general statement, right? I mean, our country is good, we're doing good, please trust us and invest. Another thing he says, we will initiate reforms in economy and judiciary. Well, it seems like Erdogan is dedicated to fight against the inflation rate in Turkey. He wants to keep the currency stable and therefore increase the demand for it. Okay. So that's basically what he's trying to do. Now, the fundamental difference between the Erdogan's current or promised approach and the previous finance minister's approach was basically the previous finance minister wanted to keep the interest rates as low as possible and made the borrowing of the Turkish lira as easy as possible and as accessible as possible to the Turkish
To
businesses.
stimulate the economy.
Exactly, to stimulate the economy, to increase the GDP
Which is a
growth.
good argument.
In my opinion, that's what Turkey needs. Among the Turkish citizens, there is a raising voice and a mounting pressure over, towards the finance minister and his policies because, he doesn't care about the exchange rate.
He actually
it might be
said
good for some businesses,
in
but
a
for
few interviews,
yeah.
he actually did say, didn't he? He actually
he
insinuated,
said, "I do not care
I
about
do not
the
care
exchange
about
rate."
the exchange
Yeah,
rate, which he was
because-
heavily
yeah.
criticized about. That,
Because he
yes.
wants to stimulate the economy. And a lot of experts are pointing out towards that Berat Albayrak's policies, which is the finance minister who resigned, will actually going to be very, very beneficial in the upcoming 10 to 20 years. That was his idea, that was his vision. But again, Erdogan is a politician. He's not the king or the queen, so he doesn't have the natural right to rule the country. If there's a discontent among the citizens, he has to do something, make some political moves to get people's vote.
Because
Okay?
there's 2023 elections upcoming as well in
Exactly.
2 years, 2.5 years' time, really. So something has to be done. Certainly, a politician, well, like anywhere in the world, a politician would come out to do something to reverse and address the situation, and he needs to do that. But I don't think that's the only reason behind the things that they're trying to put in place now.
Actually, one of the fundamental reasons behind why they're changing their course now is to, let's fight the exchange rate, let's fight the inflation rate, bring it down to the single digits, let's do reforms in the economy, let's do reforms in the judiciary system, is to kind of create an environment of trust so that what is known as the hot money can come into your country, right? So
When we're talking about these larger scale investors, the likes of pension funds, and these are kind of funds that run into billions and billions of dollars. Now, these pension funds and institutional investors of this kind generally sacrifice maybe sharper growths
rewards for risks.
for stability. They go for stability. So even if the expected returns are less than some emerging market that has less apparent stability, they'll go for the less returns but stable returns because they are accountable to their subscribers and to their members. And I've looked at some of the reforms that they're talking about, although we're not going to talk about them in detail here. It will be within the next 2 to 3 years, Turkey may find itself in a very, very stable position,
Now,
which
hence
will
my
attract
question.
massive investment into Turkey.
Hence my question to you right now. We have been saying in our previous episodes, we actually have been urging investors almost desperately to invest now. Invest now. A lot of people were expecting the Turkish lira to go up to, close the year at the levels of 10, 9.5.
10 lira to a dollar.
Yeah, it was 8.5. Boom, 7.6 now.
Yeah.
Okay, how should a foreign investor, foreign real estate investor, behave in Turkey?
I'll give myself as an example.
Okay.
For the past 10, 15 years, call me naive, but I completely disregarded the exchange rate because I know for a fact that unlike say Western economies, the UK, US, Germany, Turkey has a slightly different agenda in terms of how and what they use to manipulate macroeconomics. Instead of keeping a stable currency, Turkey, in fact, if you really read between the lines, and a lot of economists have also come out and said this, Turkey actively used exchange rate mechanism, in other words, used the Turkish lira up and down in order to increase exports, in order to push through certain movements through the Turkish economy. What I'm trying to say is the exchange rate, the lira, Turkish lira, on purpose, it seems to me, was kept unstable. They used it.
Yeah.
Look at just before Turkish lira hit 8.50 or 8.40, whatever it was, to a dollar.
850, yeah.
Last week or the week before.
Last week.
And look at the preceding 2 weeks. Things that were washed out in the media, things that the president's office said and did. A high school graduate, well, actually, you didn't even have to be a high school graduate. A high school student could have told them that that's going to have a negative impact on the lira. Could it possibly be that they didn't know that? No.
Of course
They knew it.
Of course.
Now, there are many reasons why they would want a weaker Turkish lira, especially if you look into sort of kind of what's happening with US and China. China is the producer of the world.
Because Turkey is effectively a cost-competing country.
Yes, China is the producer of the world. Apparently, 60% of Chinese production ends up in the US. You know, if you looked at it 20 years ago, 30 years ago, China was still the production center of the world, but they were pure cost competitors. So they competed on cost. They were low-cost production. And the fact of the matter is the quality wasn't all that good either. In the last 10, 15 years, what China has done is they've gone up the value chain also. So they don't just produce cheap products, they actually started producing quality products, value-added products.
Yeah.
Now, if I was the US president, I wouldn't like that much. Which
Okay.
means that some of the production that gives China its power and moved China's GDP significantly upwards in the last 20, 30 years from a very, very poor country to...
Surpass the US GDP?
Well, not really, but overall. But
in the PPP,
GDP
yeah.
per capita, no, of course.
No, not the per capita, but overall GDP, not in the nominal, but on the PPP. it
So,
passed.
so basically, how do you stop China? How do you stop this massive train that is kind of rushing straight onto you? Because that's exactly what China
Well,
is
you
doing.
can try.
Okay, well,
You can try.
you can divert some of the production away from China, right?
Yes.
Where is that going to go? Where's that production going to go? It has to go to low cost yet quality production
Countries with
centers.
know-how.
Okay. You have a Turkish lira. You push the Turkish lira down. All of a sudden, it makes your products more affordable and more competitive in international markets.
Correct.
So I asked the question, could it be one of the reasons that they appear to want a weaker Turkish lira? Maybe.
Why not?
My theory, okay?
Why
My
not?
theory. Could be wrong, could be right, but my theory. But what I'm saying is, it is clear that on the one hand, by doing this, you might be channeling some of that production, and it may be good for certain parts of your economy. But overall, if you want a country that has stability, a country that can pull in institutional investors, and they are the real big pot of money, then you need stability.
True.
You can't have a currency that does this all the time.
True.
And it seems to me that Turkey has now switched over, and they're basically saying, okay, we're going to change our path. We're going to go for stability. We're going to sacrifice some GDP growth and go for stability.
Shall we look at some data?
Let's look at some data.
Okay, now this is the Turkish lira versus the US dollar. Okay?
Start from 2002.
When Erdogan came to power. Okay.
Yeah.
Right around here, September 2002, right?
I mean, you can see that from 2002 all the way up to 2010, 12 even,
Yeah.
it's very, very
Stable.
kind of stable.
Very stable.
And interestingly, Alaattin, that's the period when Turkey started upgrading its credit notes.
Yes.
Turkey started pulling in bigger and bigger investors.
True.
And Turkey, I think this is also the period when Turkey managed to enter into G17.
No, man. Turkish economy has always been there.
All right, look it up.
Okay, look.
Come on,
I'll,
look it up.
I'll show you a video.
I'm
on
not going to
YouTube.
shave my hair if you're
No.
right.
No, I don't care.
But if you're
do,
wrong,
but-
you should shave your hair.
Okay. If I'm wrong, I'll shave my head.
All right.
Okay. Aladdin's Turkey. TikTok. 20 GDP, history, and projection. Okay, now let's watch this video. Okay, look at Turkey. Look at where Turkey is. You seeing Turkey? This is 1800s. And that's basically the Ottoman Empire, right? Let me double the speed. 1820s. I love watching stuff like that.
It's an interesting one, huh?
Yeah. Look, the UK comes in. Let's move this a little bit. Okay.
Hey, Turkey has dropped.
Okay, now the Turkey has dropped because there was the war and etc. And that was the establishment of the republic. But somewhere around the 80s, 90s, Turkey is going to come back up. This is the biggest 20 economies, isn't it? 2024, 2025. This is the projection now.
Let's see where it's going to end.
Yeah, 2030. I think Turkey will surpass Mexico. Come on, Turkey! This is
like
fun.
Watching the World Cup.
2030. Okay? The inflation rate back in 90s. 90s was terrible for Turkey. Look at this.
104% inflation. My God.
Okay, 60%, 80%. This is the level of inflation. The AKP comes to power, AK Party, boom, 2245, doom, 25, in the year 2004, it goes down to 8%. And from then on, it's 8%, 9%, 10%, 6%, 8%, 7%, 6%, single digits, okay? Up until 2016. Now, this is where Erdogan wants to go back to. And how do you do that? By raising the interest rates. This is the Turkish interest rate history. If you look at it starting from 2012, 2011, the interest rates was, single digit, low. When the sort of like the initial crisis happened in 2018, it went up to 24%.
You can see the graph. I mean,
Exactly.
they raised the interest rates sharply, and then that corresponds to that very sharp strengthening of the Turkish lira in 2018.
Exactly. In early 2020, mid 2020, it went down to 8% again during these months. And during these months, really, the Turkish lira went down. I mean, look at this. Starting from March, January, February, March. And this is when the Turkish lira sort of started with 5.9, all of a sudden 6, 6.8, 7, 7 point something, and right around here, August, September, it went up to 8. Now,
then you will probably see a strengthening of Turkish lira, not significantly, but I think you will see Turkish lira gradually gaining ground again.
True.
And if they can stabilize it, by lowering the interest rates, probably sometime later, and sorting out the other underlying factors. If they can stabilize the currency, that's going to be a massive win for Turkey.
Okay.
In terms of its credibility in the international money markets.
Okay.
Well, mate, that's the opportunity for our foreign investors to come in. In 5 years' time, you're going to see a very different Turkey. And the Turkey that you see in 5 years' time will have a lot more value added to it. And value added to Turkey means that the real estate values will go up. So if you come in now, you should be able to benefit from that increasing value add to the economy. And real estate, the construction sector, is one of the top
the number one
segments of the economy. Hence, higher value will immediately be reflected in the real estate values.
We know Turkey's position. You have to understand the dynamics of the economies here, and moreover the dynamics of the real estate market in Turkey. What factors are at play, and for that you can reach out to us, and one of our client advisors here can explain you into detail. And we, as we always say, we believe that the best decisions are the informed ones.
True.
And that's basically the whole purpose of the show. So thank you very much for sticking this long.
I hope you're not more confused than when you started to watch. I am.
That's the eternal dilemma, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
Okay. See you in the next one.
All right.